A lorry driver working alone in his cab was dismissed for not wearing a face mask. No law required him to wear a mask, and it appeared no one was put at risk. So why did the tribunal side with the employer and find the dismissal was fair? Tribunals are full of surprises, but delve a little deeper and you'll find the logic behind their decisions, which is what I'll be doing in a series of videos on Tales from the Tribunal. In the case of the lorry driver and the face mask, I'll explain how the driver broke his own company rules, how his lack of remorse was a factor, and that the tribunal's role isn't to rule on what should have happened, but what an employer might reasonably do. During the first coronavirus lockdown, Mr. Kubilius, a lorry driver, was working for Kent Foods. He refused to put on a mask, a face mask, on arrival at the Tate and Lyle refinery. Initially, he waved away the request, but was later given an ultimatum: wear a mask or you'll be barred entry from the Tate and Lyle refinery. This was a big issue for his employer, for Kent Foods, because Tate and Lyle were one of its biggest clients, and almost every bit of the work from that particular depot was for Tate and Lyle. So Mr. Kubilius needed access to the Tate and Lyle refinery to do his job. At the time, wearing a mask in the workplace was not a legal requirement, and Mr. Kubilius worked alone inside his lorry cab. In fact, under Tate and Lyle's rules, drivers weren't allowed to leave their cab, so he was in his cab with the door shut most of the time, not wearing a mask. There was no written policy from Tate and Lyle requiring mask wearing, but despite this, a disciplinary hearing was held, and Mr. Kubilius was dismissed without notice. The tribunal ruled that the dismissal was fair, despite Mr. Kubilius not actually putting anyone at risk. This may appear to be an overzealous application of health and safety rules, but it's worth looking at how and why the tribunal came to its decision. First, Mr. Kubilius was in breach of his driver's handbook, which said he must comply with all PPE instructions at any sites that he visit. He refused to comply with Tate and Lyle's health and safety rules that he should wear a mask, so the fact that the government guidance on mask wearing was optional was a red herring. He was breaching, and deliberately breaching, the health and safety rules on the site he was visiting that he should wear a mask. Second, the Employment Tribunal's role isn't to pass judgment on what should have happened. It's simply to decide whether an employer's actions, in this case dismissing Mr. Kubilius, fit within a range of reasonable responses. Now, the employment judge might have felt the dismissal was harsh, but this is irrelevant if it fits within the range of responses open to a reasonable employer. The correct test for the tribunal, the one it applied, was whether any reasonable employer might have dismissed Mr. Kubilius. The judge concluded that a reasonable employer might have done in these circumstances. A reasonable employer might well have dismissed him because by refusing to wear a mask, Mr. Kubilius was no longer entitled to enter the Tate and Lyle depot and therefore couldn't continue in his existing role. He'd shown no remorse over the incident, and Kent Foods, his employer, noted his indifference to maintaining good client relationships with Tate and Lyle, its main client. The tribunal was entitled to take this into account and hold the dismissal was fair. I'm Barrister Daniel Barnett. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, you might enjoy this one and possibly also this one. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.